Yo everybody, Shaggy Jeebus here. You can call me Shaggy for short. I want to talk today about an interesting theory, I find it interesting at least, about the series Turn A Gundam. Now, I watched the series more than 10 years ago probably, and I really enjoyed it, but honestly, a lot of it probably flew over my head due to being younger than I am now, and not knowing that it was as deep a series as it truly is at the time. I've been rewatching it as part of the community on the subreddits, the anime and Gundam subreddits, and I am just blown away by how intricate it is, the world building in the series, and just how fantastic the writing is. And it shows in that I have come up with the theory. I've not done a lot of research about it. I don't know if anyone else has thought this before. I'm sure someone somewhere has. But we're 14 episodes in as of this video, and I have this theory that Loran Cehack, the main character, is asexual. He, or, a gender. I'm not sure. I'm still, I'm not certain about how the character is, and I feel honestly like I may be digging too deep into it, but hell, that's kind of what fandom is about and what thinking about things is about, digging too deep into things. And I had the thought a couple days ago, and with each episode, I've looked for more evidence to support this theory, and I found it, especially in episode 13. But I went back and checked out some scenes in the early episodes, and I think it's a really good theory. I think a lot of people, once they hear my thoughts about it, will probably agree. And if people disagree, it's fantastic too. What's great about Turn A as a series is it allows you to have opinions and thoughts about things going on in the world. It doesn't spill everything out, and it's not just a simple, this is how it is, this is what's going on. And all the great art really allows the audience to interpret it their own way. So if you watch Turn A Gundam and you think, oh, there's no way Loran's asexual, or, that's insane, you're entitled to your opinion. It's completely fine. If you want to have a discussion about it, that's great too, But my thoughts on the matter, and like I said, I was blown away when I first had the thought and realized that there was evidence for it. So going back to the first episode of the series, the very first episode, the way most of the characters are introduced to each other is Loran is in a pool of water. He's in a river and he's bathing, and he has his little fish thing, which is sort of his remnant from the moon, I suppose. And he gets swept up in the river and he goes down, and the two sisters, Soche and Kihel, these names are very hard for me to pronounce, but I'm trying. He comes across them bathing, and they're in the river completely nude, and he's drowning, and the servants of their family help him, they save him. And that scene is a huge piece of evidence for me in this theory. First of all, and this is one of the things Turn A Gundam does absolutely perfect, is it subverts all the normal anime tropes. It is not a sexual scene at all, even though the girls are completely nude. First of all, Loran himself is nude. So there's none of that male empowerment stuff you see in a lot of anime series. And I'm not ragging on it necessarily. It's often a fantasy fulfillment thing. But I'm glad that it's different. The series doesn't have Loran seeing the girls while he's clothed and they're nude. No, he's just as naked as they are. And even more, he's drowning. He's definitely not in a position of power. But there's no sexuality to the scene at all. Even though the girls are nude, there are no close-ups or shots of their breast or anything like that. It's done in a very natural way. And the series itself, so far at least, has done a very good job with having nudity just be a natural thing. From the ending animation, where we see Loran just kind of spinning around in the buff, to, I remember a very quick shot of a woman sunbathing, in the nude, and she's laying on her stomach and clearly has no clothes on. And this isn't like a member of the cast. This is just a random woman in her yard. And whereas other series would bend over backwards, have bent over backwards to show, a panty shot or a bare ass, here Turn A has that scene, has the bare ass, and it draws no attention to it. I mean, you would practically have to freeze frame to really get a good look at it. And like I said, it's one of the great subversions the series has. But back to the point, it's not a sexual scene. Loran himself doesn't take the bathing incident sexually at all. After he wakes up, after he is saved and he wakes up, the younger sister, Soche, comes in and she has a little interaction with him. He's saying that, he doesn't need pity, he has money to pay for the food they've given him, the family has given him. And she says, yeah, but you don't have enough. And he's like, you went through my bag. She says, well, you saw us. And he very, just uncaring, says, I was drowning, so I couldn't see anything. As if he doesn't notice that seeing their bodies would be a thing that, they would be embarrassed by, or maybe, they'd feel like that's something he should not have seen. Because it's nudity and it's sexual. He completely misses all of that. He just thinks, matter of factly, I was drowning. I didn't look. And then Soche makes this comment, oh, what a shame, as if she wanted him to look. And he's just like, yeah, okay. He doesn't care at all. And that's something that comes up later. Even in the first 14 episodes, Soche obviously has a crush on Loran, and he either doesn't notice it, which I think, or he doesn't care, which is really also true. But it's like he seems incapable of understanding that Soche would, want to do anything physical with him in any way. And part of it's his role as basically the servant of her family. But I think a lot of it's also that he doesn't think about things that way. He doesn't think about, what two people would do is they would get together alone and, have sex or fool around. His brain just doesn't operate that way. And I could be wrong, but that's my theory in a nutshell. And in this little interaction, when she's saying, oh, what a shame that you didn't look at our naked bodies, she gets mad at him because she points out you were more interested in this, which was the little fish toy that got him into the river in the first place, that started moving and he chased after it and almost drowned. Says you were more interested in this than us. And she's upset. She thinks, how could he value this over our bodies, And he gets upset. Loran gets upset and says, that's mine, give it back, and starts to chase after her. And to me, this shows that Soche kind of represents a lot of people, most people, and there's nothing wrong with it. The idea that what's more interesting, a member of the opposite sex or the same sex, whichever you're attracted to, nude, a representation of sexuality, or something emotionally important to you. And a lot of the time, people, while they do have emotions and, you get a nude person, it kind of draws your attention, makes you go, oh, wow, tits, it's great. Or, whatever it is. Loran did not have that response, and not only did he not have that response, he then didn't have the response afterwards, because he was drowning at the time, sure, but there was no looking back on it. There was no comment that would have been made in so many other series, and not just anime. Tons of American shows probably would have had someone making a comment of, oh, I wish I had seen more. I wish I had gotten a better look at them while they were nude. And it shows that they apparently care more about sexuality than dying to be able to have that thought, but it's also a very human thought. I can understand someone having that thought. I would probably have that thought frankly. Even if I nearly died afterwards, when I was safe and sound, I'd probably think, oh wow, I wish I'd seen some shit. It's a normal thing. And it's not that it's abnormal for Loran. Loran as a character seems to represent just a difference, not a bad thing. Most of the time it's good, but he represents a difference to the way most people seem to think. And that's why he's in between the moon race and the Terrans. He's not for one side entirely. He's in the middle. The other big piece of evidence that Loran may actually be asexual, and maybe even agender, is that in episode 13, when Teteth, another hard to pronounce name for me, when she appears, she is by far the most sexual character in the series to date. She appears, she's got a whole lot of cleavage going, she's got her midriff exposed, she's got these hips, she is attractive. And it's obvious that that's supposed to be part of her character. She gets into a hot spring with Loran. Hell, she takes off her top right in front of him and then almost prods him, almost makes fun of him when it seems like he may not get into the water with her. And he does. When he sees her nude, he does not blush. He does not seem embarrassed at all by his nudity, or by the fact that she's nude, or by the fact that they are nude together. It's not a subject to him. Whereas for most other people, they would definitely notice, I'm not wearing any clothes. That other person isn't wearing any clothes. This could be a sexual situation. But it simply does not occur to him at all. And it's not because he's not smart. He's a very intelligent person. And that's why I think it's because his brain just works in such a way that he does not think about things in a sexual manner. And that's why I think he's asexual. And then, of course, I mean, I can make an entire 10-minute long video just about the whole Laura thing. But in episode 6 or 7, I forget which, where he has to dress up as a woman because of, if you've watched the series, it made sense. I don't want to explain it all. Because the moon race thinks the pilot of the Turn A is Laura. Loran then dresses up as a woman, goes to a party, dances with a man in a dress, and has no problem with it whatsoever. He is completely fine with it. And not only does he not take any issue with it, there aren't even any jokes about him being uncomfortable. He takes to pretending to be a woman very easily. It's shown in the training where Cahel is giving him lessons that he's not really struggling with it too hard. And there's the line where he says it's kind of fun. And to me, in a different series, this would probably be like an awakening moment where Loran realizes he feels more comfortable as a woman. And they could go down that avenue of thought. But, and the majority of series, it would probably be jokes about, oh man, I gotta dress as a woman, this is so uncomfortable. For Loran, it's not. And from the get-go, Loran is an androgynous character. His looks are very fragile. That may not be the right word, but, he's a very strong character. And you see that strength in him from the get-go. He doesn't want people's pity. He'll work. He'll do what needs to be done. He'll stand up for other people. But, there's a kindness in him, undoubtedly, that is apparent to anyone who pays any attention to the character at all. And anyone in the universe, in the world of Turn A, everyone knows Loran is a kind-hearted soul. And, maybe there are meanings about masculinity breeds destruction and chaos, and, maybe femininity breeds confusion and treachery. These are standard literature tropes that in real life, it doesn't work that way at all, But in literature, they've been used symbolically a lot of the time. And that may be why Loran is the way he is, why he's sort of in between even man and woman, not so much in, like, he's physically androgynous. He can pass for a woman if he wears a dress very easily. But at the same time, he doesn't look so feminine that everyone's going to look at him and mistake him for a woman. But, I'm reserving a hard judgment until I finish the series. And I remember the ending to the series, but I don't remember just about everything in between. So I feel like at the end I'm going to have more evidence to support this theory, but right now I really can't say. So that's why this is a, part one theory. But if anyone has any thoughts, feel free to share them below. If you've found evidence that shows I'm completely wrong, please share it. Really, first and foremost, I just love thinking about what the writer of Turn A, what the writers, and the director, Yoshiyuki Tomino, I love dissecting this series, and it is a phenomenal series to dissect. It's worth it. It's definitely worth taking the time to look into every little detail. And a shout out to the people on the subreddit, on the anime subreddit, and the people from the Gundam subreddit who have discussed the series in length every episode. I look forward to watching the rest with you. Hopefully I can comment, every day. But if not, I'll at least keep trying to make videos to post to share my thoughts in a more in-depth way. All right. Good night, everybody, and good luck.